Never-before-seen letters from Princess Diana have revealed she told friends she would never have divorced if she knew how desperate and ugly the process would be.
These letters, there's 32 of them that have come about from Princess Diana writing between 1995 and 1996 to a couple of friends of hers. And you said yourself that she talked about how desperate and ugly her divorce had become.
A long-lost letter from Princess Diana has surfaced, and its contents are sending shockwaves through royal circles. The heartfelt note, which Diana entrusted to Princess Anne for safekeeping, was reportedly written for a future granddaughter she would never meet. Now, its discovery has left many wondering what message the late princess hoped to pass down. Was Diana predicting the struggles Charlotte might face, or was she offering guidance from beyond the grave? Join us as we uncover the secrets hidden within Diana's final words. Royal secrets finally surface. A long-lost letter from Princess Diana to Princess Anne has come to light after 20 years, and it's catching everyone by surprise. Many find it unexpected because Diana and Anne were never very close. Diana was known for being honest and open in her private letters, often sharing feelings she kept hidden from the public. Now, people are curious about what this letter could reveal about the royal family's past and what it might mean for their future. This letter feels different from Diana's usual warm messages to her close friends, and the royal family's complete silence about its contents has only fueled curiosity. Many believe Diana may have written about her struggles within the royal family or shared her thoughts on the future of the monarchy.
There will be concerns about the future of the monarchy, as there always are. At the beginning of every new reign, people will feel that Charles III does not have the stature and indeed approach of his mother.
However, the letter, which was meant for her future granddaughter, seemed to carry a prophecy and a warning shaped by her own experience within the royal world. Diana's choice to entrust the letter to Princess Anne adds another layer to the mystery. The two women couldn't have been more different. While Diana won hearts with her warmth and charm, Anne approached royal life with a strict sense of duty, believing hard work mattered more than public approval. She often saw Diana's popularity as a distraction from what truly counted: service and responsibility. Yet perhaps Diana believed that Anne, despite their differences, was the only royal who could understand the pressures her granddaughter might one day face and protect her from the same struggles she had endured. To truly understand why the letter matters so much, it is important to look back at how Diana and Anne's relationship started. Duty divides two princesses. Diana and Anne's relationship was tense from the start. When Diana joined the royal family in 1981, she tried hard to connect with Anne, hoping to show she respected royal traditions and wanted to learn. But Anne wasn't having it. She saw Diana as just another outsider trying too hard to fit in. One June day, just before Diana's wedding, made this painfully clear. Diana approached Anne using all the proper royal manners, but Anne barely glanced up from her desk, making it obvious she wasn't interested in bonding with her new sister-in-law. Anne had been working tirelessly for years, showing up at hundreds of charity events and public appearances. But the moment Diana arrived, she naturally drew all the attention. People were instantly drawn to Diana's personality. This created a stark difference between the two women. Anne had put in years of dedicated work that few people noticed, while Diana became an overnight sensation. This only pushed Anne and Diana further apart. Princess Anne forged her path as Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip's only daughter. She poured herself into charity work while pursuing her passion for horseback riding, which led her to win medals in competitions across Europe.
Anne, very many congratulations. Were you aware of the tension around the ground here?
Oh, I think so. Yes, it's fairly obvious in any show jumping competition, but it's an awful lot worse when you're in the lead.
Though she faced her share of challenges, she never lost focus on her royal duties. She valued results over popularity, which may explain the distance between her and Diana. Yet, was it truly just a clash of personalities? Or did Anne's frustration stem from something deeper? The royal rift. A major breaking point came when Diana chose someone outside the royal family to be Prince William's godmother instead of Anne, even though Charles had been godfather to Anne's son Peter. This slight hit Anne hard, as she had expected to be given this important role. But the situation got even worse when Diana passed her over again for Prince Harry's christening in 1984. Anne's response spoke volumes. She skipped the celebration entirely, claiming she had other commitments, but instead hosted a hunting party at her country home while the rest of the family gathered at Windsor Castle. Diana never spoke publicly about her difficult relationship with Anne or mentioned the coldness between them, but their strained connection was clear to everyone who watched closely. Now that this mysterious letter has surfaced, people are wondering if it was Diana's final attempt to reach out and heal their broken relationship, or if there was something more complicated at play. Diana could have written to several other royal women she was closer to, like her friend Sarah Ferguson or Princess Michael of Kent. She could have even reached out to Queen Sofia of Spain or Princess Grace of Monaco, who she got along with well. She also could have mentioned it during her famous BBC Panorama interview, when she was openly talking about all sorts of royal secrets. But she chose Anne, the very princess who had given her the cold shoulder for years. People have speculated that this may be because Anne held a unique bond with Queen Elizabeth that her brothers didn't share. Mother and daughter connected deeply through their love of horses, but their connection went far beyond that. They were cut from the same cloth, both practical women who preferred getting things done to be in the spotlight. Elizabeth saw her values reflected in Anne, putting duty first, skipping the fancy royal trappings, and showing up day after day to do the work without fanfare. But did Diana reach out to Anne because she saw in her an unshakable honesty and duty-driven spirit? Or was it a final attempt to be understood by someone within the family who valued actions over appearances? Diana's desperate stand. For years, Diana had followed the royal family's unspoken rules, but eventually, the mask slipped.
Diana was fully aware of what she was doing. She knew that this was a U-turn day. She knew the Spencer family would not be very happy, but she couldn't care less, because she thought it was time Reign came back.
The fairy tale marriage that the world admired had turned into something painful and lonely. She could no longer pretend to be the perfect princess everyone expected her to be. As her marriage to Charles fell apart in front of the world, Diana found comfort in writing. Every night, she sat at her desk, pouring her heart onto paper with her familiar slanted handwriting, sharing the thoughts and feelings she couldn't say out loud. By 1992, everyone could see the tension between Diana and Charles in public, but things were even worse behind palace doors. Diana felt trapped in a life where she'd lost herself. She had no friends in the royal household. Her marriage was breaking down, and her mental health was suffering. When she tried to reach out for help, she only met cold shoulders, and she started to think the family was pushing her away on purpose. The entire palace had anticipated their separation, but they weren't ready for Diana's next move. She stunned the royal family with her 1995 BBC Panorama interview, where she calmly exposed Charles's relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Her revelation about the three-person marriage became one of the most memorable moments in royal history. Despite their differences, Diana had hoped Anne might understand what she was going through in the royal family, but that understanding never came. If Anne had always viewed her as an outsider, why would Diana believe she was the right person to confide in? The final truth. The Panorama interview was the final straw that broke Diana's connection to the royal family, turning her from Charles's estranged wife into a complete outsider. Anne felt just like the rest of the family, that Diana's public airing of grievances had hurt the monarchy's reputation and proved she was never meant for royal life. After the interview, Diana's life took a new direction as she broke free from royal duties and threw herself into charity work. She became known as the People's Princess, working with landmine victims, visiting AIDS clinics, and helping people with leprosy.
The Broderick ward of the Middle Hospital is the only specially designed AIDS ward in Britain. Today, the hospital reckoned that the princess's visit was worth all the government propaganda put together. She met the staff and the 9 patients and shook hands with them all.
She was creating her path now, but without the royal family's protection, she was more exposed than ever to people who wanted to control her story. In 1997, during the last months of her life, Diana seemed to sense time was running out. She wrote more letters than ever before to her trusted friends and allies, and these letters carried a sense of urgency. Diana's words showed her fear. She felt watched, pressured, and worried someone would shut her up. But even knowing it was risky, she had to speak out. Her letter to Anne wasn't about making friends. She wanted to tell Anne something the rest of the family refused to hear. Maybe Diana hoped that one day Anne would read her words and finally understand what she'd gone through. She wanted Anne to see past the family's claims that she was just causing trouble. Diana never got to hear back from Anne. She passed shortly after she was involved in a car crash in Paris on August 31st, 1997, and the world was devastated. The princess who had worked so hard to speak up for herself was gone. People wondered if her fears in those last months were a real warning or just the stress of being constantly watched. Her letter to Anne became even more important after she passed on. Did Diana write to Anne because she feared what lay ahead, or because she believed Anne was the only one who might listen when it was too late? The secret letters. In her final months of 1997, her letters took on a darker tone, as if she knew something bad was coming. Without the royal family's shield, she was more exposed than ever. She spent time abroad and started dating Dodi Fayed, with photographers tracking her every move from charity work in war zones to Mediterranean boat trips. To the public, she seemed to be moving on with her life. But her friends saw the truth. She was struggling. She couldn't sleep and was constantly afraid. In a letter to her butler, Paul Burrell, in October 1996, she wrote about feeling like someone was watching her. She believed people were plotting against her. She sensed dark forces at work and felt more and more unsafe as time went on. Diana might have seen Anne as the only royal who could handle the truth, and experts think Diana wrote the letter between May and July 1997, during a crucial time when she was making waves with her humanitarian work.
Her grace and affection to everyone she met. Lady Di, who worked as a kindergarten teacher before joining the royal family when she married Prince Charles, had a vibrant connection to children and was often captured bending down to greet them on a personal level.
Diana's letter revealed troubling discoveries, but beneath the warnings lay something more intimate. In her last days, perhaps what Diana truly yearned for was recognition from the royal family. Not as the iconic people's princess or a tabloid fixture, but as a mother deeply devoted to her boys, a wife who had desperately tried to salvage her marriage, and a woman who faced her struggles alone while those who should have stood beside her chose to look the other way. For 26 years, the letter stayed hidden until it showed up at an auction in Essex in 2024. Most of Diana's letters in the collection were simple thank you notes to staff and messages to friends, but this one stood out, a sealed envelope addressed to Princess Anne. When they finally opened it, what they found wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't about exposing royal secrets or asking for help. It was something much more chilling because Diana had written about things that hadn't happened yet. But what could have driven Diana to send such a letter? One filled with a chilling sense of foresight, the haunting prophecy. In those carefully penned pages, she laid bare her struggle to exist within a rigid system that had no place for her authenticity, describing how her voice was stifled each time she dared to speak her truth, and how her differences made her an outsider in a family that prized conformity above all else. She wrote with particular insight about Princess Anne, sharing her thoughts on how the Princess Royal's influence would shape the monarchy's evolution in the years to come. The most surprising part was how she wrote to Anne directly, not as a sister-in-law, but as someone she'd grown to see differently. Another particularly shocking claim is that Diana used the letter to ask Anne to protect her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, if anything ever happened to her. Sources close to the palace hint that Diana chose Anne because she respected her and trusted her to shield the boys from the pressures of royal life. And she suspects that the harshness of royal life might lead the boys to quit the life altogether. Some believe that Diana's vision extended beyond her own time, leading her to leave behind another message, one meant for a granddaughter she would never know. A message for a granddaughter. Rumors also surfaced suggesting that before she passed, Princess Diana wrote a heartfelt letter expressing her hopes and fears for a future granddaughter. Though she never lived to meet Princess Charlotte, some believe Diana had a deep intuition that one day William's daughter would face the same pressures she endured. In this alleged letter, Diana shared her dreams of protection and freedom for the little girl who might one day carry her legacy.
This morning, another royal birthday. Princess Charlotte, Prince William, and Princess Kate's only girl turning 9 today. And like in years past, Kensington Palace releasing this new photo to mark the special occasion, just taken days ago in Windsor by her mother.
She reportedly urged that this future child be given the freedom to shape her destiny, free from the burdens of royal duty and media intrusion. Diana, who had always championed a more modern and compassionate monarchy, wanted her granddaughter to grow up knowing she was valued for who she was, not just for her title. Some speculate that Diana's concerns were part of why she entrusted Princess Anne with a private letter, believing Anne's practical nature and commitment to duty could help shield the younger royals from the harsh realities of royal life. But did Anne truly take Diana's words to heart? Or did the letter become just another forgotten piece of royal history? The letter that changed history. When this letter came to light, it made everyone look at Anne differently and wonder if she'd secretly followed Diana's wishes. Did she reach out to William and Harry after Diana passed on? Did she try to be the guide Diana hoped she'd be? The palace stayed quiet about whether the letter was real, but experts who knew Diana's writing style were sure it was genuine. This wasn't some explosive revelation about scandals or affairs. It was simply a mother's last attempt to make sure someone would look after her sons when she was gone. Anne kept her usual silence in the years after Diana passed, rarely talking to the press or getting involved in family drama. But looking back, some people noticed small changes. Though she hadn't been close to William and Harry when they were young, word got around that she worked quietly to help them live their own lives.
I think it's absolutely extraordinary that any right-minded thinking parent should believe that it would have been an alternative to bring those children down here to London.
She pushed for changes to give younger royals more freedom and supported modernizing the monarchy. When Harry and Meghan decided to step back from royal duties in 2020, Anne was one of the few family members who didn't criticize them publicly. Was she remembering Diana's words? The letter showing up in 2024 didn't just raise questions, it helped complete Diana's story. Instead of being just another sad tale about what could have been, this letter showed something different. It wasn't about regret or giving up. It was Diana's final act of hope. Did Anne do what Diana asked of her all those years ago, or did she ignore the request, just like the family had ignored Diana? Diana's vision fulfilled. When Diana's letter came out, it stirred up old debates about royal traditions and what duty costs. The royal family had always bragged about being able to change with the times while keeping their old ways. But Diana saw through that. She knew the world was changing, that people weren't buying into the royal mystique anymore, and that the monarchy would fall apart if it stayed rigid. Her message to Anne wasn't just about watching over her sons. It was a warning about what was coming. The royal family tried to keep things the same after Diana passed on. Sure, they mourned her in public, but behind the scenes, they stuck to their old rules. The same strict system that had made Diana's life so difficult. They raised William and Harry this way too, but they couldn't erase Diana's impact. Her influence lived on in how her sons viewed their royal roles and how the public saw the monarchy. Even after she was gone, Diana had changed the royal family forever. As adults, both William and Harry started making choices that looked more like their mother's beliefs than royal tradition. William found a middle ground, marrying Kate Middleton and raising their kids with more warmth and normalcy than any royal children before them. Harry took a bigger step. He and Meghan left royal life completely in 2021.
Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be returning as working members of the royal family. Prince Harry and Meghan stepped down from royal duties last year and moved to the United States.
Pointing out the same problems Diana had faced: constant media attention, lack of protection, and feeling alone. When they spoke out in interviews, it was clear Diana had been right. The royal family hadn't changed, and the younger generation was pushing back just like she said they would. Anne never talked about Diana's letter in public or said if it changed how she thought about things. But small things shifted after Diana passed on. Anne had always wanted a smaller royal family and started saying not everyone with a royal title needed to do official duties. She kept doing her job quietly and steadily, just as she always had.
In addition to being involved with more than 300 charities, she carries out more events than any other royal, and carries with her that sense of responsibility.
But were Anne's shifts in attitude after Diana's accident a coincidence? Or did Diana's letter plant a seed that quietly influenced her approach to royal life? Royal rebel with purpose. Anne carved her own unique path in the royal family as Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip's only daughter, choosing to break away from traditional princess stereotypes and instead focus on making a real difference in the world. Born in 1950 at Clarence House, she showed early signs of the determination that would shape her remarkable life, eventually moving from third in line to the throne to her current position as 18th. Her passion for horseback riding set her apart from other royals as she turned her love for the sport into incredible achievements. She made history in 1976 by becoming the first British royal to compete in the Olympic Games, but this was far from her only triumph. She had already claimed gold and silver medals at the European Eventing Championships. Her dedication to sports later led to her appointment as a member of the International Olympic Committee in 1988. What truly makes Anne stand out is her tireless commitment to charitable work, serving as patron or president of more than 300 organizations. Her interests span a wide range, from promoting women in science through WISE to supporting healthcare initiatives in developing countries. Her longest-standing commitment has been to save the children, where she's spent over 5 decades visiting projects and making a real impact.
At Centera Princess Anne Hospital,
we're working on getting the whole
emergency room staff members are preparing for a rush of patients.
118, 47, 44, 22, and 28 are open.
The Princess Royal title, which she's held since 1987, seems fitting for a woman who's redefined what it means to be a modern royal. Rather than getting caught up in the glamour and ceremony of royal life, Anne has focused on substance over style, earning respect through hard work and dedication. She continues to carry out royal duties with the same no-nonsense approach that's made her one of the most respected members of the British royal family. But was Anne's dedication to duty and substance over style limited to royal traditions, or did it extend to shaping the future through education and leadership? Scholar Princess Takes Charge. Anne stepped into some big shoes when she took over from the Queen Mother as Chancellor of the University of London in 1981, marking the start of her impressive journey in higher education. She's held on to this role for decades, showing the same steady commitment she brings to everything she does, while also serving as the Chancellor of the University of Edinburgh, a position she took over from her father in 2011. The Princess Royal has also picked up several roles that were close to her father's heart. When Prince Philip stepped back from his duties, Anne stepped up to lead the City and Guilds of London Institute, the Corporation of Trinity House, and the Royal Society of Arts. She's also taken charge of the Commonwealth Study Conference, which her father started, showing how she's carrying on his legacy of public service. Why did Diana choose Anne as her son's potential protector, despite their distant relationship and Anne's cold demeanor? What made Diana write about feeling watched and unsafe in late 1996, just months before her passing? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.